Good to know you're still with us. Now, the Katsina State Governor, Aminu Masari, has stated that COVID-19 is not an issue for the people of this state as armed bandits continue to unleash terror and mayhem on them. He said over 50 persons have been killed by gunmen in the last 2 weeks. Now, according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, the state has recorded 95 coronavirus infection with 8 recoveries and 8 deaths. Joining us to discuss this is Peter Eigbedion, a security expert. He joins us via Skype. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. And of course, we have Ruwnagodiya, a special advisor to Katsina State Governor on higher education. He joins us via telephone. Thank you for your time on the program.
You're most welcome. Good evening.
Good evening. Now, over 50 persons, I will start with you, Mr. Agodiya. Over 50 persons have been killed by gunmen in the last 2 weeks in Katsina, and your governor says this is even more worrying than COVID-19. He says it's not an issue. Why do you think that position, he took that position, considering the whole world is focused on COVID-19? Did you get my question, Mr. Agodiya?
Yes, madam.
Okay, please go ahead.
Actually, you see, the governor is very, very correct in the assertion he made. He talked of banditry killing more people than COVID-19. Just in the last 2 weeks, 10 villages were attacked in Damusa, Dusama, and Safana. About 50 people were killed at that particular time. And then you talk of about 90 people being infected with COVID-19. Now you're talking of 50 killed at a go. In Faskari local government, just this morning, between 9 and 11 a.m., 9 people were killed by the bandits, and they carted away hundreds of cattle. Yesterday, in the same local government, about 5 people were killed, and the divisional police officer there was shot twice. He is now receiving treatment in the Federal Medical Center here in Katsina. Yesterday night also, another bandit set or gang visited Zandam in Jibe local government. They took hours in that particular community, ravaging a lot of havoc to them, cutting away with cows, sheep, goats, and so on and so forth. In Basari local government, villages of Sekijiki, Goji, Yasori were attacked. 3 individuals were also killed. In Damusa, the head of local administration there was kidnapped, coming from his hometown in Sabwa, together with his own child. Now, these are daily occurrences in different parts of Katsina State, especially in 8 frontline local governments of Faskari, Sabwa, Dandumi, Jibia, Damusa, Safana, and Basari local governments. These are prone to attacks every day, every night. So certainly, banditry now is doing more havoc to us in Katsina State than COVID-19. And this season, we're even afraid that people may not be able to go to their farms because the fear of the attack is already inflicted on them. And you're taking of millions taken away by these people in the name of cows, sheep, and so on and so forth. And then even the ransom that has been paid is in the tune of millions. So economically, this is the havoc we are facing. In terms of loss of lives, this is the havoc we are facing. In terms of social interactions that have been completely cut away or cut off in Katsina State, actually this is the situation. So as far as I'm concerned, being a victim of banditry where I was kidnapped also, sometimes last year, I can tell you, banditry in Katsina State is doing more havoc. And even we find ourselves in a sort of confusion. Are we actually having a federal government whose mandate constitutionally, as far as 1999 Constitution, is the fact of defending and protecting lives and properties? Here we are in Katsina State, the president is from here, but communities in the state are facing these dangers day in, day out, night in, night out. No pronouncement you can see has been made by the armed forces. Just a day last day or a day yesterday or the day before, a team of of the armed defense headquarters was in the state government with the governor, telling him that they are there to let him know that they are aware. What kind of thing is this? If you are aware what effort have you been making in ensuring that lives or properties of people are being protected in Katsina State? So I wonder what kind of government we are having of democracy that cannot depend the lives and properties of some people. In fact, we can say we are losing any feeling of government or governance in Nigeria as far as the federal government is concerned.
All right, we'll come back to you, Mr. Godiya. We'll come back to you in a bit. Let's bring in Mr. Eigbedion. Do you agree with the reason for the statement by the governor, as explained by the special advisor?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And even without hearing his position, and especially him having been a victim of kidnapping by the bandits before, I mean, just common sense will tell you, yesterday evening, the NCDC numbers for coronavirus in Nigeria was confirmed cases 3,145, with 103 confirmed fatalities, that's deaths. Then if you're hearing that over the course of 2 weeks from the governor that over 50 people have died, it tells you that evidently that they face a more grave threat from armed banditry than from coronavirus. Besides, I mean, just common sense will tell you that the recovery rates for coronavirus, even from WHO records that we're seeing across the world, the worldometer, it shows that the fatality rate from coronavirus is between 2 to 4% at most of people who have the disease. So, I mean, what are the chances? What are the recovery rates for gunshots? I mean, people who are attacked by guns, by armed bandits who are trained to kill, who have shown a propensity for bloodletting, for violence at the most base and the most wicked ways possible. So, it's clear. I mean, even a novice in the game of security or work in security would know that what the governor said is correct, that they face a graver, more present threat from armed banditry than from coronavirus, sadly.
Okay. Do you then agree with his thoughts that coronavirus is given too much attention and that attention is distracting from other major issues?
It is possible. I mean, first of all, all hands, just even take the national lockdown that's supposed to be in place, that has been eased off in certain states. We've seen that a lot of our security agencies have been deployed across board, and I believe they're overstretched in comparison to the population of this country, even the states that we have. So if they're spread out that thinly across the country to enforce lockdown to help with security of life and property, it tells you evidently that it's not a pretty situation for anybody. And my heart goes out to the people of Katsina State who have been subjected to this. So coronavirus, yes, the government is focusing on coronavirus, but it is possible that they have dropped the ball on security. I mean, if you look, let's Lagos State, for example, and Lagos State, when some armed boys were going about, 1 million boys, or what they were called, were going about in parts of Lagos, it took concerted effort for the state government and security forces to nip that in the bud. So if they hadn't risen to the challenge, then that would have made Lagos a more insecure place to be. So it's possible that the government has dropped the ball. Let me say it that way. I think so.
All right, let's come back to you, Mr. Godiya. The situation, according to your governor, has become so overwhelming. His words, paraphrased, is that the state is running out of words, the government is running out of words to convince the people that they are on top of the situation. Now, my question is, what kind of assistance should the federal government provide at this time? And there is talk about the governor's comment being defeatist as well. Well, we'll get to that part of the question. Let's just ask your reaction as to what federal government should be doing to assist the state at this time.
You see, since 2015, the government in Katsina State has been doing practically everything possible to contain this situation. In fact, to the extent that we went, in fact, with the governor to the forest, to a kind of dialogue with them, to broker peace. But because there is no support from the federal government, that one could not actually yield a result. And currently, we're asking ourselves, where is the military intelligence? Where is the police intelligence? Where is the DSS? Where is the NIA? These kingpins, talking about the leaders of the bandits, are known Their stations are known. They keep on coming in. What are they doing to get them? And
That's
do away with them.
what I'm asking you, sir. I'm looking, well, let's look at a bit for solutions. Like, what in specific terms do you think the federal government can do to assist the state at this time to make sure that this can be managed somewhat, even in the crisis that we are facing as well, the pandemic?
One, we need serious synergy of the intelligence of all these agencies. Two, we need physical manpower in terms of the military, in terms of the police. We need gadgets, we need technology to be able to contain this situation. Because there is nothing, the governor has no authority, the governor has no resources, he cannot command any of the armed forces. It is the commander-in-chief that should do that. Where is the commander-in-chief? We need, in practical terms, the support and the physical action of the federal government, especially the armed forces, to contain the situation. Otherwise, in the next 6 months, we don't know where these 8 local governments in Katsina State will be. We may not have anybody there because people are now afraid. They have been running to the towns, to the cities for safety. And now, most of them are overstretched. Nothing to eat, nowhere to go. So with this fear, with this trauma, you expect that everything in terms of development, education, economy, nothing will work in this local government. So the federal government should take actions, clear-term actions, practical actions to contain the situation. We are tired of calling the police, calling the military to distress calls, but nothing will follow up in terms of addressing this situation physically.
All right, to the second part of my question, there's talk about the governor's comment being defeatist and not in good light for the people who are looking up to him for leadership. What's your reaction to that?
You see, my governor is very, very sincere. My governor is straightforward. He doesn't mince words in saying the truth. In fact, I said it as the chairman of the coalition sometimes last year, that the government, the federal government specifically, has failed in protecting lives and properties in Katsina State. I repeat, the federal government has failed in protecting lives and properties in Katsina State, especially in these 8 local governments. So the clear terms is the fact that governor has said it all. He cannot do anything more than he has been doing since 2015 when he came into power. His hands are tied, his resources are finished, his patience is exhausted, he cannot do anything. The federal government should come in and do something.
I'm sorry to interject, but we need to get Mr. Eigbedion to speak quickly before we wrap up. My question to you, Mr. Eigbedion, in spite of how he may sound to some people, the governor seems to be doing something about addressing the matter. From providing support to the security agencies to brokering peace with some bandits, and they say they've repented. They thought that even though that they have repented, they seem to have been overpowered by those who are unrepentant, whom he says are more sophisticated. If you could give us your thoughts on this in about 30 seconds, I'll be very appreciative. Thank you.
Well, it's not surprising that the governor is in the situation that he is in. Evidently, he's not receiving the support that he should from the center, and it brings into question the agitation for restructuring in Nigeria. Clearly, the state has been left to its devices. People will suffer unnecessarily from the unwillingness, or I think that's what the unwillingness of the government to do what is right. So yes, people are going to suffer as a result of what we're seeing now. The government is unwilling to do what it's doing. The governor is doing his best, given the circumstances and given the way our constitution is in place. But there's certain things he can do. He has a lot of limits, and the federal government, the buck falls on the president's table. And sadly, he's from Katsina State, and he should be able to do much more than he has done.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And Mr. Ruwnagodiya, thank you as well.
Thank you. You're most welcome.
All right. And we'll go on a short break for Plots Report. When we come back, I will give my take. Just stay with us.
Frontline social critic in Edo State, Comrade Patrick Eholo, has said the government at all levels has failed in its corporate responsibility towards assuring the safety of the COVID-19 pandemic. Comrade Eholo, who is the founder and president of One Love Foundation, believes that with the untold hardship brought about by the lockdown directive, the government should have done more to ease the stress undergone by its citizenry. He made this statement while speaking to Plus TV Africa in Benin City.
security vote to governors, the area is going to be over now because we don't have money. What we depend on was oil. So this is going to force us now to go back to farming, to go back to what we used to do, to go back to the granite pyramid, to go back to, we're doing maize, doing cassava, exporting organic food to abroad. So it's only the strong that will survive the time we are. And I know as Nigerians, we are good people. We are strong people. If Nigeria has the courage now to slash this or some of these disgruntled honorables. They are not honorable, some of them. They don't deserve that name honorable. Because most of them are very disgruntled. They don't do anything. Why do we pay people a lot of salaries so they don't do anything? Why are you slashing the ordinary people's salary when they don't do anything?
He also condemned the action of the government in the distribution of relief items.
If the government said they had reached out to people through palliative measures, how many of those can you confirm? Which area? Was it done along party line or was it done for every citizen of Edo State? I am from this area. I've not seen anything. But I also know that I've been to IDP camp. We've not seen them there. I want to go give them some food and some other things to help them. I also went to my village at Ovia Northeast to assist them. I'm not saying they're not doing anything at all, but when they are talking about figure, you know that something's already wrong. I mean, look at what happened with the federal level, where they claim that over 100 billion was spent in 3 days. I mean, come on, how did they do that? And then look at how fire gutted the place because of fraud, so that when we're going to tell them to explain, to audit for us, then there's no documentation to show.
The Abacha loot for me is a clear manifestation of the pitfalls of unbridled greed, and a continued reparation, for me, a confirmation that there can be some level of accountability for actions by our leaders. In my thinking, the repatriation will be for any leader who truly wants to make a change, a beginning, baby steps if you please, to begin to claw his or her way back from a severe crisis of confidence and corruption. That is my take. I thank you for your time with us tonight. The program returns same time tomorrow. Bye for now.